Optimus. It used to be a channel that just had something special about it. It was really entertaining. It kind of covered important topics that were sometimes overlooked and stuff like that. But of course, now it seems like it's been forever ago, as today's Optimus channel is a disgrace of what it used to be. There's several reasons why I now hate Optimus. That intro might sound familiar to a lot of fans of the channel I'll be talking about today, as it was the introduction to one of his most viewed videos, and the one that introduced me to his channel back in 2017. The channel Optimus is the focus of today's video, not a typical candidate for a response from me, as I cover more deceptive or thieving channels, aiming to take your money and run. But this is a topic I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. While he's far beyond what I'd normally consider a channel worth mentioning, as I like to stick with smaller channels that might slip past most people's radar, Optimus is a channel I'd watched for a couple years. Not so much recently, as we'll get into today. He was never original or groundbreaking in any way, which isn't bad necessarily. He just tended to cover trending topics and give his opinions on them, which was basically the way to grow from 2017 to this current day. But a breath of fresh air with certain videos, like the aforementioned game theory video. Nobody would typically go after such a large and well-received YouTuber, especially with such a small channel at the time. And he did cover several topics that at least channels I subscribe to didn't mention too often, like the scam Cash App, pedophiles invading Twitter, and reposting of the Mumpky Jones video. While all of these were somewhat trending topics, and not new to a lot of people, he didn't just ride off of them. He told stories and experiences that he had that weren't so over the top you knew they were fake, and some managed to be pretty entertaining to watch. But now he just desperately clings to any trending topic or anything a fan throws at him so he can keep up with his 5 videos a day quota, basically becoming like a news version of Watch Mojo. Throughout the first part of this video, I'm mostly going to focus on his YouTube channel and tackle his Twitter later, because it is a shit show there. While covering his YouTube, I'm going to draw a lot of parallels to his game theory video, as I feel a lot of his own criticisms can be used against him. Seeing as how this video introduced me to his channel, there's a bittersweet dose of irony as it'll be used to describe my experience leaving it.
So the first real reason why, game theory as a channel has just completely fallen apart is the content has it's become underdeveloped, and it seems like it's intentionally stretched out for ad revenue. And this is not the only channel where this has become, a really big problem. Lots of channels on YouTube do this.
Underdeveloped. While I wouldn't say his older videos were refined or concise, it at least felt like he had more focus. The topics felt like they had more thought behind them, like he genuinely wanted to give his take on something. But now it seems like he just says whatever's off the top of his head on a subject someone randomly brings up, mostly because that's exactly what his new videos are. While this is hard to explain or prove given the fact he's never been a person to use scripts while making videos, and tends to repeat the same sentence several times with slight adjustments while he gathers his thoughts trying to find a more clear way of explaining.
Anyways, today we're going to take a look at one of the worst incidents of clout chasing I've ever seen, man. I've been trying to tell people this shit, man. Clout is a drug, I'm telling you guys. I'm dead serious, man. Clout is a drug. People will do anything they can to get a little piece of clout in their pocket, bro.
And would often leave these takes in the videos instead of editing them out.
One of my biggest issues, especially with the game theorists, is that, their content back in the day was 5 to 9 minutes, usually, a video. And now, the longest episodes would have been 14 to 18 minutes. And that's not a terrible length, especially if we're going really into depth with one of the theories. I had no problem with that, especially since, the 14 to 18 minutes was an outlier video. But the videos now are averaging 14 to 18 minutes. And it's not because, they're adding on to the theories. They're not adding anything constructive. They're not going more in depth. They're not using any different type of quote-unquote science. None of that shit. It's literally just Matt Pat pretending to be funny, failing attempts at humor, and just adding redundant jokes and skits into the videos that just don't make any sense or don't belong in the video whatsoever.
Optimus videos haven't changed in length too much over time, remaining between the 8 to 12 minute mark, with the occasional 15+ minute video. I'd relate this more to the number of uploads over the length of the uploads themselves, going from an already pretty high 1 video a day in average to like 4 or 5 every day. This is obviously just a way to boost watch time, making your channel pop up more frequently in response, instead of making a more detailed 20-minute video covering several topics, almost like a Philip DeFranco or Drama Alert video, which he responds to oh so charismatically on Twitter, but that's for later.
But it seems as if not only the theories, but the premise of the video itself just always seems to be really lackluster. Not even that the theories are, quote, stupid. It's more or less that they're just digging and they're reaching for shit that doesn't matter, or for theories that just don't make any sense.
Basically how I summarized my last point, but for the sake of consistency and drawing parallels to his channel currently, I felt I should at least mention this part.
And the second biggest reason that I now really despise game theory as a channel is because MatPat is literally unable to take or refute any forms of criticism whatsoever. Anything you say against him is immediately ousted as hate. You're hating on him, you don't want to see him succeed.
This part will be brought up again later, as it is a hilarious point of hypocrisy when it comes to Optimus, but again, I'll bring it up when we get to his Twitter account. For now, we'll address what he is referring to 2 minutes after this comment.
May I add that MatPat was also criticized during an Ask Me Anything he did over on Reddit, and when this happened, no matter how many upvotes it had, no matter how popular the response was to MatPat's questions, if you criticized MatPat, he was not going to respond to you. He basically just acted like your question didn't exist, even though you could ask him anything. If you asked him, say, why he was such a sellout, which somebody actually did, and it ended up being the most upvoted post on the entire AMA, he just wasn't going to respond to you. That's how he responds to criticism. If you're criticizing him or any point that he stands on, you're just a hater and he's going to ignore you, or he's just going to turn it against you. That's what he does. He gives no rebuttals to defend himself. He doesn't defend any of his theories. He just blatantly calls everything hate, it seems like.
So, for this part, I'm going to have to point out, there's a difference between criticism and just hating or harassing someone. Like, this video is critiquing Optimus's channel, while hating or harassing would be like, well, this guy's an asshole, I don't like him, without mentioning any real points, which is funny how he ends the clip by saying if you can't refute criticism or refute the facts being placed against you, while most of his examples are just call-out comments. Oh, why are you a sellout? What do you say in response to that? No? How about the person actually puts some effort behind their question and brings up a legitimate criticism instead of just being a dick? Also, again, the irony of the final comment will be mentioned in his Twitter section of the video.
And the third reason why I, don't like game theory anymore is because it went from game theory to Five Nights at Freddy's theory, like in the snap of a finger it seems, and it led to the downfall of the channel. Five Nights at Freddy's videos consume the channel now.
Five Nights at Freddy's was a massively popular game, with a lot of questions behind it. I myself, while never playing the games, found the theories interesting, and as Scott Cawthon kept releasing more games with more lore behind them, the theories got more and more interesting. So now we're at a crossroads. I will point out a piece of hypocrisy about myself while applying the same point to Optimus. You're criticizing game theory for responding to supply and demand, following what was popular, and it paid off. So while my point about you following trendy videos is more of a minor grievance with your channel versus a larger issue, just the number of posts every single day, you would have to admit this is a valid reason to dislike your channel as it currently stands.
The past ones, they had flaws, they might have fucked up on some factual stuff, but they were genuinely interesting. And I can't honestly say that anymore. I tried to watch the most recent game theorist video here, the Pokemon Terrifying Truth of Fire Pokemon. I couldn't even get 4 minutes through. It took 2 minutes for them to get to the entire topic of the video, and it was just drivel that they started the video off with. That's not what I'm there to watch.
This is something I noticed more in his older videos that doesn't appear to be as common today, but with how my interest in the channel has dropped recently, I wouldn't be surprised if it was still something Optimus is guilty of himself. Not so much the 2 minutes to get to the topic of the video, but the padding of the videos. While somewhat excusable with his lack of a script, it was still something that always annoyed me. where he would just repeat the same thing over and over, or insert all these lines to let him catch his thoughts, similar to when someone says like or literally every other word. I'm sure it's been noticed by a lot of other people as well.
That's not even the focus of this channel anymore. The focus of this channel now is to just pump a video out, make it as long as possible, drag it out as far as possible for more ad revenue. You don't even have to get too science. You don't have to get into real deep into the science. As long as you're cracking some very mundane jokes, it's a good game theorist video. It's not interesting anymore. I don't think they are in touch with their core audience or their old fans anymore. And honestly, I think the Game Theorists channel has just completely fallen apart. That's my opinion. If you like them still, that's cool. You can have that opinion. I personally don't. And it's a shame to have seen that the channel went down this direction.
The focus of his channel is to just pump out as many videos as possible. Drag it out as long as possible for the watch time. You don't even have to put any thought or effort into it. As long as you're making 4 or 5 videos, each 10 minutes long every day, it's a good Optimus video. It's just not interesting anymore. I don't think he's in touch with his core audience or his old fans anymore. And honestly, I just think Optimus channel has completely fallen apart. But that's just my opinion. If you like him still, that's cool. You can have that opinion. I personally don't, and it's a shame this channel has gone down this way. And I'm sure a response to this will be, well, his numbers are doing well, so of course he's doing well. And you could bring up the same thing about game theory. A slight shift in tone, as now we're moving on to where I think Optimus kind of just sold himself out for money to kind of just being a dick all the time. Letting it all get to his head and him thinking he's the shit now. First off, just like his YouTube, this man spams Twitter every few minutes. Relevant topic of the day, he tweets more than Donald Trump, and he really loves the caps lock. All of these tweets were from a single day, not including his response tweets or whatever. I know nothing about Twitter. I think it's awful, so I'll probably get a few of these things wrong about how it works. But let's bring back those clips I said I'd get to, mostly about taking criticism, because that's something Optimus does not do well at all. You see, Optimus has a real tendency to lash out at valid criticism and give you a "fuck you, I'm rich" attitude when you voice genuine concerns, similar to those brought up in this video, pointing out his spamming of videos versus a more concise, thought-out video talking about several topics or less helpful criticism, but still about a genuine topic, like him having an absolute tantrum on Twitter, lashing out at anyone who dare oppose him, where he'll again treat it as if it's more meaningful criticism by just saying "fuck you, I'm rich." Very in touch. He insults his workers. He doesn't come up with his own topics. He asks his fans to do his work for him. Don't suggest stupid shit, or he'll insult you and tell you nobody laughs at your shitty jokes while he makes a similar one in a comment. Also, sub counts are the only thing that matters in your points against Optimus. I mean, you think Tom Brady listens to high school quarterbacks? Yes. Optimus said this. He compared himself to Tom Brady on Twitter over videos he makes on the internet. This guy said, just because I have below 1,000 subscribers doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about. And Optimus replies, if you knew shit, you'd be shit. Again, as if he's above anybody on Twitter, which you are definitely not, Optimus. On the internet, you hold as much value as a review for your local Taco Bell. Get off your high horse, bud. By your own logic, you don't know what you're talking about and should remove your videos about Sky Williams, Shane Dawson, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Rice Gum, H3H3, Keemstar, Pokimane, That Bitch That Ate Live Animals, iDub, Sore Carl, Chase Station Ninja, Bad Baby, Wolf Icky, FaZe Banks, Mr. Beast, Pro Jared, The Dolan Twins, Jack Black, Soulja Boy, KSI, Cernando, and Game Theory. They all have more subscribers than you, so your thoughts, opinions, and criticisms on them don't mean shit. Those are just the tweets from July, so I'm sure the rest of his Twitter is even worse dumpster fire. That wraps up this video. I'm sure it'll get lots of hate from fans despite the hypocrisy in comparison to the comments of his game theory video saying they respect his opinion despite disagreeing. Although those comments are from months ago, so they're probably already fans of Optimus and just wanted to be supportive. Anyway, if you think my points are wrong, I'm more than willing to defend my claims in the comments, even to the less analytical comments that I've grown used to from my Pi 9.5 video. But on that note, I hope to see you in the next video, and goodbye.